I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Tony?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Roxanne,
Second.
Karen, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Karen, Roxanne, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay. And then we need to, that was for the regular meeting, so we need to do the special meeting of January 18th and, January 18th and January 25th, please.
So moved. Second.
Roxanne, Karen's first, Roxanne second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right.
All right, so for the superintendent's update, my first update is we're getting snow tomorrow. If you hadn't gotten my call or my email or the Facebook post or saw it on TV, we already are closed for tomorrow. So stay safe out there. And of course, we're hoping that the roads and the schools are all ready to go for Friday morning for a full day of school for our students, because we know that missing any time away from our teachers is nothing but saddening to our students. So we will do our best to have Friday open. Second, you may or may not have seen that Governor Malloy came out with his proposed budget for the next budget cycle, which is a 2-year budget cycle at the state level. And I just wanted to ask Mr. Penn to kind of share a couple of quick thoughts that he had seen. And keep in mind, we only had a couple hours to look at this today, so this will be evolving. And again, it's only Governor Malloy's budget, but I think it's important to kind of give you an update on that.
So when we went looking at the proposal today, there's a number of moving parts to it. In particular, when we look at the education pieces, there is a drop in what we would have considered ECS to the tune of about $2.3 million. And then there's a pickup in what we would consider what was the old special ed excess cost grant that they're now carving out of ECS and replacing to the tune of $2.5 million. There's also a moving part where they're trying to shift a lot of the costs for the teacher pensions now back to the individual town level. So that is a shift of like $1.2 million. Where I'm going with this is when you add up all the different moving pieces to town revenue that comes out of the state, it's a net drop for Plymouth of about $500,000 for next year. And that's on a base of just over $11 million. Candidly, I thought it might be worse, not knowing exactly how deep it was going to go. You can imagine how the emails lit up around business managers today as we started digesting some of this information. For some perspective, I know Region 10 is being hit for $4.5 million on the school side. How we're coming up with $4.5 million, quite frankly, I have no idea. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. The TRB piece to me is probably the most interesting in terms of, can they actually do it? Can they actually force what was designed to be a replacement for Social Security down to the town level? And then, of course, to see if this quote-unquote new funding formula is actually going to play out for ECS and for the special education piece as well. A lot to digest, a lot of conversations to be had, obviously, at the legislature. If you're unhappy with what you see, and you should be, I would urge you to call your state legislator and get them on board with where we think the funding should be at this point. Because unless they hear from you, they're not going to do anything. So.
And it's just as simple as reaching out to them. I've already reached out to both Henry Martin and Whit Betts, but hearing from other folks would be important too. There was when you look at the data right now, there's some significant winners around the state, especially at the large city areas and the cities. So the large, like the New Haven, Hartfords, and Bridgeports, but then the cities like Bristol and Waterbury, they're getting multi-million dollar increases, and that's all coming from the rest of the towns in the state. So certainly more to come, but I think it's very important to stay on top of this because it's going to be impactful around the state. In other news, the state legislators are looking to reduce the unfunded mandates. So there's a number of bills in progress right now where they truly are trying to eliminate some of the unfunded mandates that have been on the books for a long time, and some that just came on the books, like the data privacy rules they're looking to extend out a year. There's just a whole host of them. The requirement for schools to have to do a full day for students who are expelled, they're looking at as another thing that needs to be changed. But at the same time, what I find is fascinating, while they're talking about reducing mandates, there's plenty of bills that are being introduced right now that increase mandates. So it'll be another interesting legislation. I saw one senator looking to control the number of special education students in every classroom. So they want to mandate a certain number. I saw another senator looking to increase the school day by 30 minutes. Maybe not realizing that that would have a contractual, it would set off contractual changes across the state. So I could go on, but it's very fascinating when you look at the bills that are being proposed, and you don't know which ones are going to make it through, so we will be paying attention to that. And some of you will be attending with me the day on the Hill, which is where we join CABE, and we get a kind of inside look at what CABE sees as the most important bills to be paying attention to at that time. One thing I just want to point out to parents, we are looking for parent volunteers for 2 committees that Ms. Parsons will be co-facilitating and working with. One of them is the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Committee, or the STEM Committee. So we'll be looking for parents to volunteer to be on that committee. And we're also looking for parents who want to join us on our Wellness Committee. So in my monthly update, which will go out Friday, I will be emailing that to all parents and asking them to connect specifically back to us, but I thought I'd mention it tonight. And my last update is I do have my brown bag lunch meeting all scheduled for next Wednesday. That's always at central office, always at 12 o'clock. Bring your lunch, we sit down, we eat, we talk about whatever issues you have, and I always bring a few issues to the table as well. So that's all I've got for tonight.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Student reps. I'm going to go with Amy. We'll start with Amy.
Okay. So for our sports at the high school, the boys basketball team has been doing relatively well. They played against Mills at Mills on February 3rd. The game was pretty close, but they ended up losing. Same with the girls. They also played Mills, but they played at home. And tonight, both of the sports teams are playing Chippewa. The girls are playing at Eli Terry, and the boys are playing at Chippewa. So for indoor track, our indoor track team is looking forward to their state tournament. And there were 4 students that qualified for the state tournament. And they are Madison Maskey, who qualified for the 55-meter dash. Emily Morgan qualified for high jump. Corey Picard qualified for the 2-mile, and Chris DeForest qualified for the mile. States will be this Saturday at Floyd Little Athletic Center at Hill House High School in New Haven. So they're looking forward to that. And then the wrestling team has the Berkshire League tournament this Saturday. And then after Berks, they'll be looking forward and getting ready for states. One of the students at Terryville High School just recently signed to go to college and play there, and her name is Jenna Cavello. She signed with CCSU Friday, February 3rd, and she's going to be playing soccer there. And we also recently had a pep rally this past Friday, and we recognized all the winter sports teams with their seniors and captains. And we also had a staff for a students game.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for Amy? Okay.
Okay, so we will be having another blood drive here at the high school, hosted by the Red Cross. It will be Friday, March 3rd in the gym, and we are expecting another great turnout and hope to save a lot of lives. Then a group of about 25 Leos and Kims students from the middle school went to the 60th Annual Midwinter Conference in Cromwell last Saturday, February 4th. We were the largest group there out of 270 other Leos from around the state, which is really awesome for us. We had a lot of fun doing all the team building activities and listening to the speakers. This year in particular was special for the Terryville Leo Club because our board of directors and officers worked alongside Kathy Paskus to help plan the event and pick different icebreakers to do. So we all had a really great time doing that and are very grateful for the experience. Then the Booster Club has started selling butter braids today as a fundraiser and will be selling them until Friday, March 10th. Friends of Music is hosting a discount mattress sale in the gym on Saturday, March 4th from 5 to 9 to benefit the band and chorus. For each mattress any individual student sells, they get a portion of that money towards their upcoming trip to Canada. And we just want to remind everyone that we will be off the 20th and 21st of February for President's Day.
Thank you. Any questions for Riley? Okay, Ms. Nora?
Great. So Retail 101 will be held this weekend, February 10th to the 12th. It is put on by PTSA to fund Project Aftergrad. It's basically people go and they buy like discount clothes, like returns or things like that. And so on the 10th, it'll be held from 2:15 to 9 p.m. On the 11th, it'll be held from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And on the 12th, it'll be held from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Seniors who volunteer get into Aftergrad for free. And so we appreciate anyone who'd come out and show support and shop while you're at it. The PTSA is also having a pasta supper at Shoot Gates on March 4th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. It costs $15 for adults and $10 for students. There's a band playing called The Loft, and the event also funds Project Aftergrad. Also, the National Honor Society will be holding its induction ceremony on February 3rd in the auditorium. The ceremony starts at 7:30 a.m. where the students and new members will have a breakfast shortly after. The NHS is also holding a Penny Wars fundraiser, which is a competition between the upperclassmen and lowerclassmen to see who can raise the most change. And all proceeds support the Little Britches therapeutic program, which benefits disabled people through horseback riding. So people with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, ADHD, and anything of the like get to sort of have a good experience and build themselves, and it's a really good program. Also, the Senior Book Club and movie were both held this morning. The book read was Wonder, and again, all involved thoroughly enjoyed discussing the book with each other. A big theme in the book was acceptance, because the main character had a facial deformity and he attended public school and he had to deal with the bullying and the lack of acceptance from his peers. But in the end, he became a stronger person, and we talked about how that relates to people in high school today. We talked about our high school and our environment, and we were very pleased to say that we think that Terryville High School is a very positive environment, and we think that we'd be accepting to anyone who has that sort of problem. And as I've said before, it's a great way for students to connect with the community. I love to speak to the women who participate, and it's interesting to hear their thoughts and wisdoms compared to our own. And after the book club, the seniors joined others in the auditorium where they watched their monthly movie that screens every second Wednesday at 10 a.m. And lastly, all of us would just like to thank Mrs. Radke for being our vice president for... Vice principal, I'm sorry. Vice principal for the last number of years. And I personally have had so many positive experiences with her, and I know that the students in Terryville High School have had the same impact, or have felt the same impact. So I know how high school students can be a pain sometimes, but we know that everyone loves her and appreciates all the work that she's done for the school.
And I'd like to thank Ms. Radke for always pushing us to do our best and never giving up on us. I know that a lot of us would not be where we are now if it wasn't for you, so thank you.
I would like to thank Ms. Radke by saying that she is the ultimate anchor of our school. Without her, it wouldn't be as stable as it is. She keeps everybody in check and makes sure that everything's going great, and she's definitely going to be greatly missed at our school.
Very nice.
Thank you, girls. I just have clarification, Nora, the National Honor Society. Can we just make sure we have that correct date? Because
I thought you said February 3rd.
3rd.
23rd.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to ask that same
Yeah.
question. I was like, I think I missed it.
Oh, and what organization is doing Little Britches as their
The NHS.
NHS?
Yeah,
Okay.
the NHS is sponsoring.
You all know that there's about 6 students in this town that go there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Kayla Ireland actually mentioned it.
Exactly.
She
Alex and
suggested
Chris
it.
for 18 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's wonderful, you guys. So good job. Any questions for the girls? Okay. Thank you. All right. Presentations.
All right, yep, so we're going to have a few presentations tonight. We get to start it off with our very own food service director, Ms. Holly LaBarbera. And I wanted to turn it over to Mr. Penn to just say a few words to start.
Well, thank you. Holly is terrified to be here tonight. I'll just put that out there, right? She hates public speaking, but she really wanted to give you an update on how the program has gone so far this year. Those of you that are on the Finance Committee got a little bit of a preview of this. And it's not just what we've done in terms of the financial performance of the program, it's really what we've done in terms of offerings, satisfaction of the kids, satisfaction of the employees, and what she thinks she can do for us going forward. So I think there was some concern among the board in terms of flipping a program internally again after being outside with a different company for a number of years. But I'm very pleased with what she's done for us so far. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit later on tonight about continuing the program for another year with the shared relationship that we have with Region 6 and with Litchfield. But I couldn't be happier with what I've been able to see for the program so far. Good?
Thank you.
Less nervous now?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Okay.
You just have to do the PowerPoint. Right?
Okay, all you got to do is hit that down arrow right there.
And I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come in and talk about the program. I'm very excited about how it's going, so I hope you are as well. This is a statement that's very true. A hungry child can't learn, so the food program is a very important part of the child's day. We have 15 full-time and part-time staff plus 2 on-call subs. I'm very proud of how the staff has adjusted and learned the program and really got a good understanding of the National School Lunch Program. Through the end of January, we've served over 76,000 meals. We have created a 6-week menu cycle. This helps with waste and to keep your inventory low. It's worked really well. We recently reintroduced NutriSlice again. This is a software that delivers nutritional information for children that have special needs. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I visit all the schools in the district. While I'm there, I like to make sure that the students are happy, that the staff is happy. I also review their purchasing and production and procedures to make sure that they're following and in compliance with the National School Lunch Program. Having 11 schools gives me the opportunity to share different kinds of tricks and knowledges that the other schools may have, and that also helps with any waste or inventory problems. We did a survey of the students, which was so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun it was to have the kindergartners return the surveys in crayon. It was just so cute. In the district, out of 621 responses, we had 49% of excellent. This was rating the food service program from excellent to poor. So 49% was excellent, 23 was very good, 21 was average, 5 was poor, and 2% was they don't eat lunch, they bring their own lunch. These were the comments that were on the survey. A lot of them were about the staff being very happy and enjoying being with the students. The food has improved from last year. More options, the menus, they enjoy the selections that are on the menus. They feel the food is healthier, which makes me very happy. The service is better. They did request more pizza. larger portions. They really enjoy breakfast for lunch, so that was another one that they asked for. And price was a problem. In the high school, we kind of stopped doing the a la carte option and tried to teach the children nutrition on buying the reimbursable meal that includes a minimum of a half a cup of fruit and vegetable. So we really want to try and push them to eat the components that are the most nutrition for them. For the financial results, year to date, we're showing a profit of $5,900. That's through January 31st, and this versus a deficit of $40,500 at the same time last year. The improvements, we're sharing the resources between the 3 districts. We're utilizing the EastCon bid, which is lowest bidders, so we're using the vendors that have come in and put in bids, and they are the lowest price. We have a lot more control over the ordering. I review every order before it's released to make sure that they're purchasing everything that they're supposed to be and are in compliance. More attention is being paid to the accounts that are in the negative. It starts with the managers. The managers make phone calls first, and then if they don't get anywhere, then it comes to me, and I make sure that the accounts are settled. And no longer paying corporate overhead. Every 3 years, the state of Connecticut conducts an audit of the National School Program, lunch program, and this is to make sure that you're in compliance because you are receiving reimbursements from the state. This year it is Eli Terry that was picked to be the one that's going to go over the review. They come and they spend 3 days and make sure that everything we're doing is according to the National School Lunch Program. They also added a new one this year. It's the procurement review, which we've already submitted. That's part of the review that has to go in first to make sure that we're following all of their rules. We did notice that we are lower on the reimbursable meals. We're about 9,400 meals less than last year at this time on the reimbursable meals, but financially we're in a better place than we were. We did have a drop of enrollment of 3% and in free and reduced qualifications. I believe that last year the staff didn't have a good understanding of what a reimbursable meal was. So I think that maybe they were selling reimbursable meals that really were not reimbursable meals. So I think that's where a little bit of the number in the 3% drop has come through. So I hope this information helps you, and I hope it will help us to continue the share resources between Litchfield and Region 6. I truly enjoy what I do, and I love working here in Plymouth, so thank you very much. Is there any questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
And before you go, Holly, I just have to say that it's, I know Mr. Penn worked with Holly pretty exclusively. I don't do a lot of just work with Holly, but whenever she does come into district, it's like she's here every day. She's able to walk right in, she gets her work going, she does everything that she needs to do. So this has been really a great experience. I just want to thank you for your level of professionalism and how you've come in and always 100% ready to go every time you come into district. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so our next presentation, I'm actually going to turn it over to Ms. Parsons. We're going to be hearing from some students momentarily, but Ms. Parsons, you want to head this off?
Sure, I can introduce them. So this evening we have Ms. Suffrage along with Ms. Parenti, and some of their students are here to share the products of what they have been working on in their new class at the middle school. So I will hand it over to Ms. Suffrage.
Thank you. First of all, we want to thank you for inviting us to speak tonight regarding our course, the technology education course. As you know, we redesigned the curriculum where the focus is more on the scientific, engineering, technological, and math concepts. And we know that's the direction we are in and going, and we're going to continue to go and prepare our kids. I'm proud to introduce Mrs. Parenti. She's our technology education teacher who's done an outstanding job developing curriculum and designing tasks and lessons challenge and engage our kids every day. She's been wonderful, and she's a real trooper. And then we have 4 of our students here. We have Eric Carr, Matt Elwell, Gianna, and Emma Farrow. And I think you're going to be really impressed with what you're about to see tonight. And they've been working really hard on this presentation, so I hope you enjoy it. So, Mrs. Parenti.
Thank you so much, Ms. Suffrage. So I'm going to get my presentation up over here. Thank you. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to be Eli Terry's technology education teacher. So this year, the class has taken more of a computer science flair, where we have been using some fabulous resources out there. I feel like I'm bringing in new resources every single week. We started off our year using the Scratch website. It was a website developed by professors at MIT to teach people of all ages and abilities how to code. And the students had an opportunity to create animations and games, and actually Matt and Eric will show you some of their work specifically from that website. We've also applied coding to robotics, and Emma and Gianna will actually be showing you our Ozobots and how they can be coded. We recently purchased 6 iPads for the course, and we are playing around with Apple's new coding platform known as Swift Playground, so again, to provide another coding experience. We're also dabbling in a little bit of HTML and CSS and giving our students some great experience and exposure to developing websites and what it means to develop a quality website. We're also studying digital citizenship, which I think is a really relevant and very important topic. Internet safety and being aware of the type of digital footprint that you're leaving behind. And then as we finish off the rest of the year, most importantly, the focus is on collaborative projects and presentations and developing those skills in our students. So with that said, next year, what's our course going to look like in the next couple of years? Well, our curriculum development is going to be guided by the following standards. This year we've been really relying on the SD standards, the technology standards. However, we are going to be bringing in some more science and aligning ourselves with the NGSS. Math standards, there's a lot of math involved as well, particularly in coding this year. However, we do want to tie that in with engineering and design experiences, and we just most recently started to get our district K-12 STEM committee together, and so the initiatives that we put forth in that committee will be informing the work of our course as well. So it's very exciting, and I'm very truly honored to be a part of that process. It's been an awesome adventure, and I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing students who are very eager and passionate and focused. And with that, I'd like to introduce Matt Elwell, who will be presenting his work first. He'll be showing you a couple of projects he's designed on Scratch. We're really hoping that the audio portion will work. However, if it doesn't, then he'll just kind of talk you through it. And then Eric will go next and show you some of his projects, and then Gianna and Emma I will introduce when it's time for the robotics portion. So, all right, we got the website up and ready, and let's see, is it this one, guys? Sorry, this looks different than mine.
Yeah.
Right over here. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so this is my piano that I have made in Scratch. So basically it's just a keyboard, and I made the words light up, and so like it's just like changing forever. And then I have all the notes separate, so I have special scripts for them also that make it change color when you click on it, so that you know you clicked on it. And so it's like the sharps are automatically black, and then when you click on it, it becomes grayish white. And then for the white, the regular keys, you have their they're gray. And so pretty much this is what it is. And you could click on them, but you could also use the actual keys. And then, so that is pretty much what we do in class. We learn how to code different things. And so I've also been working on one other thing, and it's pretty much, it's like based off of the game Dragon Ball Z, kind of. So I'll show you the coding first. So pretty much you have a whole bunch of characters, and you could pick which one you want, and then you have all the little sprites here to show you which one it is. So if I want to change the character, I can just press the numbers, and then you have an enemy going up and down, and they shoot fireballs, and you shoot fireballs back. So I have a few bugs in it still, and that's why I'm still working on it. And I'm getting help by Miss Parenti, and so I can pick my character and press space. And now the bugs are that I can't reset the timer yet. I'm working on that. And then you shoot him, and he shoots you with fireballs. And so what the problem is, if he hits you, like when you get all your health all the way down, it goes back, but he doesn't stop. But when you hit him and his health is all the way at 0, it doesn't go back. So that is pretty much what I've been doing.
Nice job.
Okay, so while Eric is signing into his account, so you can see a lot of creativity. So with Scratch, what's really neat is that you can upload images, you can upload sounds, but you can also create and design everything completely from scratch, pun intended. And you'll actually see a much closer look at that with Eric's project. Eric is a very gifted artist, and what you'll be seeing will I feel also amaze you just as much as math projects have, and maybe evoke a little bit of nostalgia with some of the things he might be showing you. You'll be pretty familiar with. So Eric
Yep.
is going to show us his project.
So the game I will be showing you is Super Mario Kart. It's an old Nintendo game I created. It took me a while to make, but it has to load up a little bit.
You'll see that his project is very elaborate, hence why it's taking a little while to load.
I'll show you the coding.
So because there is sometimes so much going on, and Scratch, it's a great website, but it also has its own little glitches as well when you have a project so elaborate. So Eric is just going to talk about the coding that he used. So maybe it'll
No, mine.
reboot it.
You can choose your driver. You can play as Mario, Bowser, Koopa Troopa, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, and I'll use Mario. process to make it. Once you hit power up, you hit X to use it. Now I'll show you some of the coding. So here's all the coding. I made the characters. It was hard to make a little bit. The most difficult one to make was Bowser, and that's it. And I'll be showing you another game I made.
How many of you played Mario Kart? That's my absolute favorite. So.
I still do. Eric, did you have to, it's Eric, right? Yeah. Eric, did you have to make all the different angles of each character too? Because every time they turn, you have to have a different look for each of those characters?
Yeah, it was difficult to make. And
yeah, I can imagine.
A Sonic the Hedgehog game I made.
Another favorite?
No, this one I made. It's a new Sonic the Hedgehog game I made. It's a new 2D adventure. You can press any key. You can play as two characters, Tails or Sonic the Hedgehog.
Eric, are you getting your homework done at night?
How this class is.
And I don't know.
A long drop.
And you can respawn, but it's difficult to do. And I'll show you Tails. Press up AO and Z to fly around, but he doesn't fly that long. There are different levels, but it flows. Oh well, that's it.
That's part of the process is figuring out why I did that.
Yeah, but here is all the coding for Sonic the Hedgehog. The sprites are from Google Images.
Did you upload the music?
Yeah, I have the music. So that's it for my games.
Very cool.
Very much. I think the great takeaway from this is that the kids can design and create this, not just consume it. And that's, I think, one of the best parts about this course. And as Gianna and Emma are going to show you, another fun way to code, and that's through robotics. So go ahead, ladies.
So these are called Ozobots, and you can program them lots of different ways. You can use the computer to load program onto them, or you can have them follow lines on paper. We drew some lines on the paper, and there are different codes that you can put in to have it do different moves, I guess. And before you start, you have to calibrate it so that it can actually detect the lines. Turn it back on.
And you guys had to program it to follow those lines?
Yeah, there's certain color patterns that you would put on the paper. So like you have to do a black line, and then you would do then you would do certain colors. So like there was a sheet of paper, and it told us a whole bunch of different codes that we could do. And like let's say you wanted it to do a tornado,
Yeah.
you'd have to do red, green, red, green. So it would be a black line, and then red, green, and then another black line to finish the code.
Gotcha. And that's why it speeds up and things like that. There's a tornado. Very cool.
So one of the projects I did was using the computer. So like I have all of my coding here. Like I'll show you. You have to calibrate it on here, and then you can load it.
I have an example of what that looks like up on the screen. This is what her screen would look like, very similar.
And it flashes green as you load the program. And then the project that I did was to assign the Ozobot a job. So I picked that it would be a nanny. And then you have the program loaded, and then you double click on the button and it runs the program. It doesn't really follow the lines all the right ways how I want it to, but it does a pretty good job.
Can you describe to us what's on the paper? Like what does it need to do as a nanny?
Yeah, like go to the grocery store and bring the kids to school. Yeah, and then, yeah.
You should hold up your map, Gianna, because it's a really, really pretty map that you drew. We also talked about, too, how programming on the computer can be virtually perfect. However, when you load it onto something that's not as perfect as a little machine that has its own little quirks, that you need to make adjustments and work out the bugs that way. And depending on the Ozobot that you'd work with, you may not have the same Ozobot every single class because it was a multi-class project. And it took several sessions. And so you had to it was perfectly acceptable to nudge the Ozobot back onto its path. However, looking at the coding is perfect. It's just the Ozobot that's not perfect. So it was a really great project. And ladies, you did a great job. Gentlemen, fabulous. So thank you.
Oh, great job.
Very good. Good job, very good.
Good job.
Okay, so that's a tough act to follow. It's always awesome to see what the students are learning, so I appreciate the students coming tonight and their parents bringing them. The last presentation we have, which Mr. Raymond will be putting up on the screen in a second, and Mr. Penn is handing out a paper copy. On the January board meeting, I presented about a 30-minute presentation on the budget. On the 11th of January and on the 18th of January and on the 25th of January, we had budget workshops, and we took a look at each line in each program area, and we talked about every piece. So tonight we bring to you kind of a final page and give you an opportunity to ask any final questions. But this particular document actually changed a little bit today based on some additional information that Mr. Penn received today regarding pension obligations. So you see the original budget request of $24,524,811. That's what I came out with on January, I think it was 11th. Sure. That's the right date in my mind.
That's right. Yeah.
With the healthcare renewal, we are looking at an additional $69,000 to that. Mr. Penn received information today from the actuaries about how much we needed to increase our pension. He had originally assumed about a $15,000 increase.
This is incremental to that, so it's actually a $63,000 increase over last year.
Right, 63,000. One thing that I'll let go ahead and discuss the pension piece, because it's a little frustrating for us right now.
It's very frustrating, because a key driver of this is something I've been talking with you about and talking with others in town government about for about 20 months now, that the mix of pension assets we have right now is not adequate. We are overly conservative in what we're invested in, and we're in guaranteed investment contracts that are earning 4% money right now. What this would tell you in our actuarial analysis is they're assuming a long-term return of 6.25%, which is not aggressive. But if you're 100% invested in 4%, you can't possibly get to 6%. So I've been trying to stimulate the mayor, the Board of Finance, anybody that will listen, quite frankly, to say you've got to get your pension investment committee restarted. They've not done anything with it. So I'm not the fiduciary for the plan. I can't just call up and say change the assets. But it's frustrating when I see something like this, where I've got to bake in a $63,000 increase and may face the prospect of laying somebody off in order to fund the pension. That's wrong, because it was solvable 2 years ago, and nothing's been done.
Right, so, we'll continue on our end, but if there's any other, anything else we can do to try to encourage them, the pension affects the town side and the Board of Ed side, so it's one collective fund. We did reduce some pieces from the budget that we originally put out there on January 11th, so you see those subtractions.
And I apologize, that electricity should actually be telephone, not electricity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the number is accurate.
But the number is accurate, that's correct. Yeah.
So the revised budget that we're bringing to you tonight is a $24,598,353. That's a difference of $685,562 from this current 16-17 budget that we're in, or 2.87. And I do want to just remind everybody that we have principals here again tonight. They've been part of the whole budget process, looking to try to reduce costs wherever possible. We also have a few student reps who are here today. The RU reps have been very interested in just the budget process and learning about how budgets work. So we have a few of their representatives with Mr. Perkins. Yeah, they're over here with the hands being waved, except for one of them. Won't name who. But we bring to you this number because, as you recall, by charter, we do need to send our budget to the Board of Finance by February 15th. So we do need action tonight. We can still have conversation, but we do need action tonight so that we can transmit a budget to the Board of Finance on or by February 15th. So we would need a motion tonight, but obviously any kind of conversation you want to have about this as well.
Before I call the question, do you guys want to discuss it beforehand, or you want to discuss it after we call the motion? Do you want to have a pre-discussion? Okay, I'm calling it then. All right, to approve, the motion is to approve, oh,
That number,
okay, hold on.
it got changed.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, you ready? Okay. The motion is to approve the superintendent's budget of $24,598,353.
So moved.
Second.
So Karen, Mike second. Okay, any discussion? Any comments? Any concerns? Doing a roll call vote? Mike,
Just,
you want to discuss?
I
Okay.
want to ask, do we still have question marks in certain items, line items? And what are they? And how much?
No. The last two pieces that we're going to drop in were the healthcare increase and the pension. The healthcare increase, we got an update from their underwriting team, no improvement off the initial quote, which is now reflected in that increase. The trailing 12-month claims came in a little bit worse after looking at January than they had been when we were looking at November. So no improvement off that. Pension was the big one that was still hanging out there, and that's now locked down based on the update from their actuaries that we got today. So I was surprised at the magnitude of the number, quite frankly, but it is what it is for the factors that we just talked about.
Oh, this is solid.
It's pretty solid.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right, roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Jerry?
No.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The motion has been approved. Okay, our first public comment, 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Going once, going twice. Okay, moving on. Moving on to consent agenda, please.
I'd like to make a motion to move to approve the consent agenda.
Roxanne,
Second.
Karen, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on. Okay, I would like, before we make that motion, are you ready, girls? Okay. Okay, take this off. All right, we're gonna do a little presentation. Okay, usually, the reason we come out here is we do this for presentations, so, because tonight we're gonna honor Mrs. Radke. So we're going to say a few words. I'm not going to talk as much. It's going to be Roxanne. All right? Okay. So first of all, I want to thank Amy. I've known her a long time. I've known her since my kids were in elementary school, and she actually did a workshop for me for PTA. So that's how I actually met Amy. She was still a teacher here. So I've known her a long time, and I remember when my kids got here, she's like, I'm retiring. I'm going to retire. I'm retiring. I'm like, not till my kids are done. We almost made it. almost halfway through. So for me, I'd like to thank you for all the years in service, and I've got to know you in a different way than most parents, so I appreciate all the work you've done for me. So thank you. But now,
Mine's a little longer. Amy, although you have been a part of this town for your entire life, I'm a newbie here. When I moved here just over 10 years ago, Radke was just another family name. Our paths crossed for the first time almost 4 years ago, and the name became a person. And the person became a woman who I could look up to and respect. For the past 4 years, I've had the honor to know you in so many roles. I've been the mom at parent-teacher conferences, the mom at sporting events, the mom of a graduate, and a BOE member. The list goes on. But during it all, you were always smiling, always encouraging, and always supportive. While I admire your dedication to Plymouth Public Schools, what I admire even more is your dedication to our students. You are understanding, you are firm, and you are the guiding hand that keeps our students on the path to graduation and beyond. At a time when attendance is suffering nationwide and graduation numbers continue to decline, you make sure to find a way to reach our most endangered students. You challenge them, you mentor them, you show them that little steps each day will lead them to the monumental day of graduation. I spoke with some of your current and some of your former students and asked them to say a word or two about what they can remember or think of you currently. The words that came to mind were available, funny, friendly, willing to help students with whatever they need, always smiling, and the two that I got a chuckle from, pushy and bossy. I'd like to recognize your family. They've shared you with us for a lot of years, and we appreciate that. I'm sure it wasn't always easy on them. I'm sure you were just as pushy and bossy at home. Thank you to your mom for raising her to the woman that she is and to the role model she's become for our students. I'll sum this up with a quote from the Dalai Lama. Just as ripples spread out when a single pebble is dropped into the water, the actions of individuals can have far-reaching effects. Thank you, Amy, for being the pebble in our district.
Yeah, sure. Just thank you very much. I mean, these three kids really sum up the purpose of what I've done for all these years. Such kind words from you guys I will remember for the rest of my life, honestly. I've had several of their parents here back in the day. Back in 1989, I think both your parents were part of. So I've come a long way, and I've been here a long time, and I just want to thank the board, honestly. I know it wasn't so much you guys that hired me at the time, but you are representative of the people who did, and I so appreciate it. This isn't just a job. It's been my family. As my family knows, I spent a lot of time here. I really appreciate all of the kindness and support that I've been given and the opportunity to work here. And if anything I can tell kids is really love what you do. And I do love what I do every day that I come here. It's never a chore to come here. It's going to be very difficult. I'll be crying my way out the building on the 28th. But no, it's time for me to go as well, and time to let somebody else fill my shoes and fill this position. My family, my mom was a teacher here. She taught school for almost 33 years, most of which was here at Terryville, at Prospect Street School. My son, he was bored to death for the first 25 minutes, and then he was like, you said a half hour, Mom. And then the kids got up and talked about web design and coding, and I could see him just sit up high, and that's his passion. He's a programmer and a developer, and he knows how important that work is, and I'm glad that they're both here tonight. I wish my other son who's working tonight couldn't be here, and of course my father. He was very proud at the moment that Pat Perugino had me become an assistant principal. I remember that day very well, and said that your father would be very proud of you, and I know that he would be. thank you again. It's been a great ride. It's been a great journey, and see you on the other side, I guess. Thanks.
Yep.
I need a motion to recess at 8 o'clock. So,
Second?
and all in favor?
Aye.
We're taking a 10-minute recess for cake. Very good. Zoom regular session at 8:16.
So moved. Second.
Chris, Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, new business. It's all Mr. Penn.
Yes, yes. So coming out of the last budget workshop, there's a sidebar conversation with members of the Board of Finance. And what we learned during that conversation is that perhaps there had been some information that was relied upon that was inaccurate in terms of the sinking fund. And the way it was indicated to us was that they were led to believe that the sinking fund was capped at 1% of the prior year's budget. That's actually not how the statute reads. The statute actually says you're allowed to put in 1% of the prior year's budget per year and keep you accumulating money in the sinking fund going forward so that it truly becomes a capital reserve account. So there was indications that night from the members of the Board of Finance, gee, we should really rewrite the agreement then to change that. So what you should have in your packet is something that says operating agreement procedures between Board of Finance and Board of Education, blah, blah, blah. That basically then spells out the terms of that agreement. And it removes the restriction around capping the fund at 1% and clarifying that it's 1% per year. So I can't guarantee that in past years you would have had surpluses that would have been significant to put into here, but to the extent it was 1% of your budget, by now you could have 4 times roughly $230,000, and you'd have almost $1 million sitting in there if you had that much in your surplus. So a bit of a lost opportunity in the last few years, but it's a chance for us to fix it, and we've gotten indications from the Board of Finance through the chair that they're willing to take on that discussion. Right? But the first step will be an approval tonight for the chair to move forward with signing the agreement and then taking it to the Board of Finance at their meeting, I believe, on the 16th of February, a week from tomorrow.
Okay, so the motion would be to approve a non-lapsing capital expenditure sinking fund as presented, and this would be a roll call vote.
So moved.
Second. Roxanne, any questions, concerns, comments about the agreement before we? Okay, Mike?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And yes, me. Thank you. Can I just say, now it does go to them, so they have to look at it, so I just want you guys to be clear that it's not approved completely, but we're moving forward with it. Okay, thank you. Phil?
Sure. Back to me again, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, got a couple of contract renewals. As Holly indicated in her presentation tonight, we would like to extend the agreement with Region 6 and with Litchfield for a shared services agreement for the food services director. As I've already indicated, I'm very happy with the work that Holly's done. There was some conversation around, do we do a multi-year agreement, and we thought we really should get through 1 full year of operating history before we consider a multi-year. But what you have in front of you is a contract between the 3 districts to basically say we're going to have a shared services agreement around Holly's position. Really the only thing different than what you signed and agreed to sign to before is the dates. So it pushes it out for the 2017-2018 year. And I would strongly support moving forward with this as a signed agreement for the district.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to extend the 1-year shared service agreement with Region 6 and Litchfield for the food service director.
So moved.
Second.
Tony, Roxanne, any questions, comments, concerns before we go into a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so moved.
Contract number 2 that we're looking at tonight is for a 3-year renewal with Asset Works. Asset Works performs a very important duty within the district where they have an individual who comes out, physically tags all our hard capital assets, takes an inventory of them, calculates depreciation off them, and provides you with a report that's probably about this big in terms of the assets that we have around the school district. It's critically important in terms of making sure that you have the right level of insurance for all of your district properties. This would be a 3-year extension. The price is going up, I think, about 3% versus where it was 3 years ago, so we're looking at a 1% per year inflation in the cost. I strongly support renewing this on the basis of switching to another firm at this point becomes a very costly exercise, because they would have to come back in and re-inventory the entire district, tagging every single thing, and rebuilding the database from scratch. So as it works right now, we have an individual who comes out, spends about 4 days in the district, going through all the schools, through central office, working with me to make sure that we have all of the new assets tagged, that anything that comes out of service is deleted off the list, to make sure, as I said, that our insurance numbers are correct, and to make sure that we're controlling the assets the way that we should be.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to renew the 3-year renewal contract for Asset Works for the asset inventory and valuation. Chris? Mike? Any questions, comments?
I have a
Terry?
question.
Sure.
Phil, is this something that goes out to bid, or is this something that's been
No,
done by this company?
It's done by this company for a while within the district. So in my mind, a $300 annual increase is pretty nominal compared to where they've been.
All right. Would this at any point in time have ever been put out to bid?
Presumably when it was first started, but the dollar value is fairly low, so it's not a required bid item.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Anything else before? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so moved. That's you again, Phil.
Okay, so the last thing that you should have in front of you is a cover letter and a memorandum of agreement regarding a voluntary early retirement incentive plan. This is something that I think we had mentioned at one of the board workshops. We were going to take on to say, this is an opportunity for us to extend an opportunity for some of the folks that have been working in our district for a significant period of time to take retirement, and for us also to recognize some salary savings as a result of changeover in personnel. So this document that you have in front of you largely reflects the last voluntary early retirement program that was done, I believe, in 2014. So the key components of this are they will receive, anybody who takes the program, and this is targeted at effectively people who have Rule of 80, if you've ever heard that term used before. Combination of years of service under TRB plus age is 80 or greater. And we think we have about 22 individuals that would fall into that category. If they elect to take their retirement and notify us by, I believe, March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Right. They would be entitled to receive a cash incentive equivalent to $17,000, $10,000 paid out in July of 17, $7,000 paid out in July of 18. They would also then have the ability to stay on our Board of Ed medical program until they reached Medicare age, but they would be paying for the premiums going forward. The board would not have any medical responsibilities, but you do, under TRB, have to let them stay on your plan going forward. They would also be eligible for a payout in July of 17 for any accumulated sick time commensurate with the PAA agreement that's currently in effect. They're allowed to take a certain number of days at a certain amount per day. I think this is worth considering and moving forward with. I don't think we're going to get all 22 people to participate, quite frankly. I think that's highly unlikely. But I think there are folks that are out there that we've heard in terms of discussing with the union leadership, with the principals, that are close, and this may put them to a point where they say yes. And given what we've all talked about today with regard to the state and the direction that's going in, with our own budget that we've taken a look at, I think it's important to at least put this opportunity out there for them and see what happens.
Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion that we can discuss. So the motion is to authorize Mrs. Johnson, Board of Education Chair, to execute the proposed memorandum of agreement with the teacher union regarding the voluntary early retirement incentive plan. It's a roll call vote, but we'll have discussion first.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So Karen, Tony, so any questions, comments, concerns for, all right, Roxanne?
Is this just for teachers or is this for admin too?
Just for teachers.
Have we considered admin at this point in time?
We did not. And we have not, mostly on the, go ahead, you want to go?
We, actually, in the last administrator contract, when we did that negotiation, there's a piece in that particular contract that allowed certain individuals to take early retirement. So, in effect, it is offered.
Okay,
So this is a different agreement.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything else?
When would the retirement take place?
Effective June 30th, 17, end of the school year.
So we wouldn't be left short.
No.
Right, the timeline gives us plenty of time to go out and hire new teachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna call for
Yeah,
the
and you'll see terminology in there that basically says you do have to stay through the end of the year, you have to leave on good terms, there's all that kind of good stuff in there, so.
Okay, roll call vote. Mike?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Jerry?
No.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Me too, yes. All right, so moved. Thank you, Phil. Okay, that's me.
She's already signed that.
All right. Okay, so we're going to start with board committee.
The curriculum subcommittee will meet Tuesday, February 28th at 5:30 in the conference room at the central office.
Any questions? Okay, Tony?
Yeah, the facility subcommittee met yesterday, February 7th, but due to a lack of a quorum, no business was conducted. However, we did talk about the roof problem at Plymouth Center School.
Any questions? All right, moving on. Finance.
The Finance Subcommittee met at 6 p.m. prior to this board meeting and reviewed the accounts by facilities report for the month of January and possible transfers. The accounts by facilities report will be forwarded to the Town of Plymouth Board of Finance.
Any questions? Okay, negotiations.
The negotiation subcommittee does not meet February 1st. Lack of business.
Thank you. Personnel, Chris?
Personnel met at 6:30 prior to the board meeting. All items were addressed under the consent agenda.
Thank you. Policy?
There will be a policy subcommittee meeting on Tuesday, February 28th, 6:30 p.m. Conference room at central office. We will begin reviewing policy series 4000 for anyone that would like to join us.
Any questions? Okay, safety and transportation?
Yes, the Safety and Transportation Subcommittee did not meet yesterday, February 7th, due to lack of business.
Okay. All right, public comment, 3 minutes. State your name and address, please.
Linda Hotchkiss, 15 Curtis Road, Terryville, Connecticut. I haven't been to a Board of Ed meeting in a while, so I figured I'd get up here and just say hi, because I haven't seen everybody. And sometimes you want to hear good things. And I want to say to Dr. Semmel, how lovely your little messages that go out are. Because let me tell you, even a few days ago, I was looking on Facebook and they compared us to another town, a friend of mine, and stated what the message said, and the other one sounded very bland and boring. And if they were to hear your voice, they would know how pleasant it sounds and upbeat, and how we so appreciate it. And we don't just hang it up; we actually listen to you now. So thank you for that. Very inspiring, even over weather. So thank you. And I just want to say, even though over the years people may agree or not agree with the board, that they're all volunteers, so we all appreciate our volunteers, past volunteers and everybody, so thank you guys all for volunteering. And I was messaging somebody who was a former volunteer of the town and PTA, and is watching us from Florida, Mrs. Goodwin, so thank you.
She watches online, yeah.
She said, I see you there.
Hi, Linda.
Is that the only way she gets to see you now?
I call every once in a while.
Call more often.
Not enough, I was going to say.
Anyone else? Thank you, I'll move on. Okay, so liaisons. Fisher's meeting was canceled due to weather. I believe that was the last week, so I have no report. Mike?
There is no report.
No
Roxanne.
report.
Karen?
Terryville High School's next PTSA/after grad meeting will be on February 15th from 7 to 8 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Melissa is not here for SEPTA, but I do believe, hold on, I can give you that date. Our meeting is the 16th at Eli Terry at 7 o'clock in the upper level of the library. I do believe we're having a workshop, but I don't remember what it is, so I apologize. So, Michelle?
Yes, at Advance. They are going to look over professional developments for teachers to make it more personalized to meet their educational needs.
Okay. Mr. Goodwin, Mogo.
I do not have a report. Hopefully I should have one for the next week.
Okay. Jerry? Gabe?
Due to weather yesterday, unfortunately, I couldn't make it to Cade and I couldn't make it to the facilities meeting because of job, the way it goes when it rains or snows.
Okay, thank you. Any board comments? Okay, I will do it then. Okay, first I would like to thank Holly. What a wonderful job she's doing and what a positive outcome. So that's fabulous for our food service. We were all hoping for positive this year and we got it. The kids for the STEM, Eric, Matt, Emma, Gianna, Miss Parenti, wow, just amazing. I'm sure we all want to say that, but they did a fantastic job and I'm sure that's the first time they've been publicly on TV. So congratulations to them. I'm happy that class is working out for them. Amy, we're all going to miss you, and congratulations, and enjoy Florida, because I'm sure that's where she's going soon. And I'm glad we got the budget moved on. So, all right, next board meeting. Regular meeting is here at March 8th at 7 o'clock in the cafeteria at Terryville High School. And we are going to go into executive session, but before we do that, the cameras are going off because when we come back, we will not be voting, so the cameras are shutting down as of now. I do need a motion to go in executive session.
So moved. Second.
8:31. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that was Tony and Chris.